Yes.
Why is it that the only thing Republicans will punish one of their own members for in this Congress is speaking out against Donald Trump?
How is it? I don't understand your question.
The only Republican member who's been in any way punished by the conference this year is Liz Cheney, who lost her
I'm sorry,
role.
did she lose a committee?
She lost her role in the Republican conference. I know you were there.
Well, that's an election.
Why?
She didn't get punished by that. She lost an election. I'm sorry. People go up for election all the time. It's not no basis there.
Why do Republicans
Yes,
not
ma'am.
feel compelled to hold any kind of punishment for any of their members on any of these other things which Democrats have been so upset about?
Really? Okay, let's talk about that since you raised the issue. Democrats have been so upset about. Were they upset when Maxine Waters told people?
With all due respect, sir, I'm asking about your members.
Well, thank you for your question. All due respect, I get to answer it, right? In the manner in which I have the right to. So Democrats are so upset by a chairwoman of financial services when she told people, if you see anybody in the Trump administration, you see people who support Trump, get in their faces, make them not wanted here. Or what about when she went up to a trial and tried to influence it? Influenced it so much that the judge referred to it. Were the Democrats upset by that? Were the Democrats upset when the FBI came to them and told them one of their own was associated with a Chinese spy? That same member Swalwell cannot get a security clearance in the private sector, but this Democrat Party that is so upset by everything rewarded this individual with the secrets of America and to serve on that committee. Or what about just recently, Hakeem Jeffries putting a tweet out trying to influence a trial that the country is watching today, not worried about the due process. Were they upset by that at all? I don't know. Or what about the Democrats who are so upset with others, they want to have a high standard, that their own Speaker of the House broke the rules on the floor, had her words taken down. Did she stand there? No, she left. And those Democrats who were so worried waited hours before anybody would get into the chair to read the parles because it went against the Speaker. But did the Speaker live by the rules of the House that everybody else is supposed to, of that high standard? No, she made every single one of those members take a different vote and treat her differently. So yes, we hold our members to a high standard.
Leader
It's
McCarthy.
interesting to me how the Democrats want rules for thee, but not for me. That's not right.
Leader McCarthy.
And we'll change that when we're in the majority. Yes.
Chair now recognizes a gentlewoman from Florida, Ms. Cammett, for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and good afternoon. Thank you all for being here with us this afternoon. With so many threats to deal with, as has been pointed out today, it's really a shame that we have a major one that we have to contend with that's completely unnecessary and manufactured. So we'll just jump right in on that one. Secretary Mayorkas, you've stated that you believe that the southwest border is secure. Giving me just the number and nothing else, no additional commentary. Tell me how many gotaways there were for fiscal year 22. Just the number, please. Secretary Mayorkas, I have a litany of questions. Just the number, please. Thank you. You are correct. It is 600,000. Now, can you answer definitively with data backing up your answer that none of the 600,000 individuals who are now in the United States amongst our communities that got away are gang members or criminals?
Your question highlights precisely why we have sought to prioritize national security and public safety threats.
I'm so glad to hear you say
in
that.
our immigration and customs enforcement.
I'm really glad to hear you say that.
Removal efforts.
I'm going to have to reclaim my time because I've got a lot to get through. So as you know, probably then in fiscal year 22, CBP arrested nearly 30,000 illegals attempting to enter the country who were previously convicted of a crime. Now, of those arrested, in just the number, no additional commentary, how many have claimed asylum?
Congresswoman, I'll have to get back to you with specific numbers.
Thank you. Now, officially, there have been 2.4 million illegals that have been encountered at the southwest border in fiscal year 22. That doesn't include the 600,000 gotaways. So giving me just the number, and again, no additional commentary, can you tell me how many illegals have been released into the United States that were encountered at the southwest border?
Putting aside your terminology, may I correct you? Because you've actually cited inaccurate facts.
Well, this is actually from your website.
No, it isn't.
It is. And I'd be happy to provide it with you.
Congresswoman, 2.4 million, or between 2.3 and 2.4 million encounters is different than 2.3.
But I think you're missing the point of the question. How many have been released into the United States?
Congresswoman, if I may, because you are mistaken, factually mistaken.
So your data is incorrect.
No, you are misunderstanding our data.
No. Okay, I'm going to reclaim my time because based on the information from your website, from your department, officially there have been, of all those encounters, 1.4 million, and that's a conservative number, that your department states have been released into the United States. So I know you guys have done this really fun rebranding thing, calling it enforcement removal proceedings. But today, in fiscal year 22, you have now released over 1.4 million illegals into the United States. And my question to you now is, can you guarantee that none of those people have criminal records?
This enforcement work is not fun, Congresswoman. This is a noble profession in which people risk their lives to conduct it. And you know that very well.
All the righteous indignation. Here we go. So I want to make sure that you understand that per your own data and statistics, they have pointed out that in fact you hold the record as Secretary of Homeland Security for the most encounters and subsequent releases into the United States in history. Your own former boss, Secretary Jay Johnson, said that 1,000 a day is considered a crisis. Today, we're counting 7,000 a day. The facts and figures make the point for me. So is the border secure based on your feelings or facts?
Congresswoman, let me have the opportunity to correct a misstatement. 2.3 to 2.4 million encounters includes the fact that under Title 42, the Public Health Authority, individuals can actually be repeat offenders. They can try again. And so there are actually approximately 1.7 million unique individuals whom we have encountered at the border. So when you say—
But based on your reporting—
I'm actually—
Based on your reporting, these folks are here in the United States, and there's been no proper vetting of these people. And then we don't even have the agreements in place to deport the folks that you're claiming under Title 42. Nicaragua is a great example of that.
Congressman, I hope you realize that we have removed or expelled more individuals from the United States than ever before.
And just to clarify, as a final question, you, with all of this data that has been presented based on your own department's releases, you still believe that the border is secure?
The gentlewoman's time has expired. You may answer the question, Mr. Secretary.
Congresswoman, we remain committed to enhancing the security of our border every single day.
That's not an answer.
The chair now recognizes—
the issue of abortion.
Right.
Mr. Trump, you're pro-life, but I want to ask you specifically, do you want the court, including the justices that you will name, to overturn Roe v. Wade, which includes, in fact, states a woman's right to abortion?
Well, if that would happen, because I am pro-life and I will be appointing pro-life judges, I would think that that will go back to the individual states.
But I'm asking you specifically, would you like
to— If they overturned it, it'll go back to the states.
But what I'm asking you, sir, is do you want to see the court overturn? You just said you want to see the court protect the Second Amendment. Do you want to see the court overturn Roe
Well,
v.
if
Wade?
we put another 2 or perhaps 3 justices on, that's really what's going to be, will happen. And that'll happen automatically, in my opinion, because I am putting pro-life justices on the court. I will say this, it will go back to the states, and the states will then make a determination.
Secretary Clinton.
Well, I strongly support Roe v. Wade, which guarantees a constitutional right to a woman to make the most intimate, most difficult, in many cases, decisions about her health care that one can imagine. And in this case, it's not only about Roe v. Wade. It is about what's happening right now in America. So many states are putting very stringent regulations on women that block them from exercising that choice, to the extent that they are defunding Planned Parenthood, which of course provides all kinds of cancer screenings and other benefits for women in our country. Donald has said he's in favor of defunding Planned Parenthood. He even supported shutting the government down to defund Planned Parenthood. I will defend Planned Parenthood. I will defend Roe v. Wade, and I will defend women's rights to make their own health care decisions.
Secretary
And we have come too far to have that turn back now. And indeed, he said women should be punished, that there should be some form of punishment for women who obtain abortions, and I could just not be more opposed to that kind of thinking.
I'm going to give you a chance to respond, but I want to ask you, Secretary Clinton, I want to explore how far you believe the right to abortion goes. You have been quoted as saying that the fetus has no constitutional rights. You also voted against a ban on late-term partial birth abortions. Why?
Because Roe v. Wade very clearly sets out that there can be regulations on abortion so long as the life and the health of the mother are taken into account. And when I voted as a senator, I did not think that that was the case. The kinds of cases that fall at the end of pregnancy are often the most heartbreaking, painful decisions for families to make. I have met with women who, toward the end of their pregnancy, get the worst news one could get, that their health is in jeopardy if they continue to carry to term, or that something terrible has happened or just been discovered about the pregnancy. I do not think the United States government should be stepping in and making those most personal of decisions. So you can regulate, if you are doing so, with the life and the health of the mother taken into account.
Mr. Trump, your reaction, and particularly on this issue of late-term partial birth
Well,
abortion.
I think it's terrible. If you go with what Hillary is saying, in the 9th month, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb of the mother just prior to the birth of the baby. Now, you can say that that's okay, and Hillary can say that that's okay, but it's not okay with me. Because based on what she's saying and based on where she's going and where she's been, you can take the baby and rip the baby out of the womb in the 9th month, on the final day. And that's not acceptable.
Well, that is not what happens in these cases. And using that kind of scare rhetoric is just terribly unfortunate. You should meet with some of the women that I've met with, women I've known over the course of my life. This is one of the worst possible choices that any woman and her family has to make. And I do not believe the government should be making it. You know, I've had the great honor of traveling across the world on behalf of our country. I've been to countries where governments either forced women to have abortions like they used to do in China, or forced women to bear children like they used to do in Romania. And I can tell you the government has no business in the decisions that women make with their families in accordance with their faith, with medical advice, and I will stand up for that right.
All right. But just briefly, I want to move on
And
to another
honestly,
segment.
nobody has business doing what I just said, doing that as late as 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 days prior to birth.